Well, folks, thank you for coming. I know some of you just wanted to hear a little bit more or have a question, an opportunity to ask a question that doesn't sort of happen in the Sunday morning format. Plus, you know, they're here, we got to get the mileage out of them. So here they are, and I don't know what they're planning. We'll probably talk a little bit, and then give you a chance to ask questions and that sort of stuff. And if you want to get up and go get something while they're talking, I suspect they will not be terribly offended. But try not to fall with your food when you come back. That's all.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm hoping I can get my wife to share a little bit today. There's a more informal group. She doesn't necessarily like to speak in front of people, but she is really...
I like it. It's just when I start, nobody will stop me, so better be quiet.
She really is the charm of our marriage. Like, you know, she's everybody when they hear like, oh, we love her so much, she's just so great, and so, you know, really for her to speak is awesome. So I'll just kind of share where we've been, and I know probably most of you, but not all of you, were here this morning at one of the services, and so we have been in the last. For the last year, we've been working in Katowice, Poland, which is near Krakow. And come by me. You're my favorite. And so, what the kind of situation that caused us to go there? So after we left Ukraine, we're kind of like, you know, God, well, what do you want us to do, right? And because you know, so much of your I mean, our life is there for the last, I've been serving Ukrainians for now 18 years. And, you know, that's a third of my life. And, you know, so I'm almost as much Ukrainian as I am American at this point, right? And I have many friends there. And, you know, so then we came home for a while, and we had our ministry leadership said, well, if you want to go, we can go. Where do you want us to go? Estonia? Yeah. If you want to go serve in Lithuania or Estonia, they need children's ministry workers there. And God doesn't, like, that's not where my heart is. Like, it doesn't even, you know, when the Holy Spirit puts something on your heart, it just, there's something in you that just really rings, you know what I mean?
And those same leaders who asked us about Estonia, they before said, do you know actually any Estonians, how they different from other countries? So they said, what the joke is about introvert, what's the difference between introvert and extrovert Estonian? So introvert is looking at his own shoes and extrovert looking at your shoes. Wow, guys, I will not survive there. And also they one the girl who you know, she works with the Convoy of Hope. She's like, yeah, neighbors are not talking to you. So I will die there.
It's one of the highest atheists, right? It's
I know
more atheism there than anywhere in Europe.
I know that's a country, one of the highest suicidal
high suicide rate too.
Estonia, so it's like...
Nonetheless, we're not here to talk about Estonia. Well, unless God's calling me Estonia, that was for you. But that was those things that they offered us. You could go here, you could go here. But our heart is in Ukraine. And our heart is with Ukrainian people. And so I've been serving, mostly I came to Ukraine initially to just because God called me to bring the father to the fatherless. And my heart is orphans. And anytime I can work with orphans, that's my favorite. But I'm a kids pastor too. I was a kids pastor for 12 years in Michigan. And so, I don't know if you have questions yet. I'm just kind of trying to warm you up to maybe stir up what kind of questions you might have. The refugee center was a derelict office building. There was a Polish foundation that found the building, and then we're missionaries with Assemblies of God World Missions, who kind of did the ministry end of it, and then there was Mission Builders International, were a missions organization that comes and specifically does construction, and between the three organizations, they turned this kind of abandoned office building into a dormitory. So we had basically it's a 3-floor building. 2 of them when we left had residents in it. When we came, we lived in the basement because we're looking for a place to live in.
For 1 month, suitcases are all up, all 7 of them, and we were staying in this like open space with curtains, like with the strings were, and how to say, beddings was hanging there as the curtains, because volunteers, girls and boys were there, all snoring nicely. So all the drivers there, Marcus is snoring there, and a lady from Chile, yes. So, and for 1 month it was like, I wasn't ready for that, but okay, fine.
So then we ended up moving into, so they had the lady, our leader there, her name is Nancy Westpedal. She's a medical missionary who worked for a long time in Russia and then Ukraine. Really good language, really good discipler. But she was in her retirement years and meant to retire, and then the war happened, and she and her husband, and so she just had a burden to help refugees, and so ended up leading this thing.
And in the beginning, we just came, it's like a few days, and she's like, hey, I didn't have vacation for a whole year, just doing the war, like this. I need 1 week with my husband, bye. And we're like, wait a second, what to do with all these people? And all these people, there were like 40 or 50 of them. So she told what to do, they cook this, and this. And I felt like I never have been a pastor or anything, not there and not closer. So, and all these people, like 60 years old ladies, are fighting for food. And fighting, I mean, one is crying already, another one. And this is a guy's died almost from heart attack. And it's like, what to do? Wait a second. Can you hold on, please? Just wait a second. It's 10 more days and Nancy will come back and then you will start all this.
It really felt a lot. You know, you read in the Old Testament about Moses leading the Israelites and how they're always complaining about food or complaining about this or that. And we saw so many parallels in that. But refugees, you know, imagine you being in that situation where, you know, you leave everything you have with 2 suitcases, right? And well, some people brought a lot more than 2 suitcases. But then you're uncertain about the future. And so like food is one thing that, you know, is super important, right? I can go without, you know, this amount of clothes, or, you know, I've got a place to live, but so there was a lot of conflicts about food. And the way the kitchen was set up, so everyone on the floor shared the kitchen and the bathrooms, and then each family, they had what, 7 refrigerators in the kitchen, and so your family got half of the refrigerator, right? You got the top, and they got the other
A family can be like big enough. I mean, let's say a husband and wife with 2, 3 kids, and you have only, one refrigerator for 3 people.
Yeah.
Imagine that. And it's not too, like, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's only that.
But that said, we Americans tend to stuff our fridges. I haven't seen Ukrainians have that same, you know, they get what they need.
Remember Luda? She did.
She was an exception. She was exceptional.
So you didn't do communal eating then?
We did lunch together.
Okay.
In the beginning, before we got there, when they were living in a camp, they were actually living in a school before the center was complete.
The kitchen was really small, and they actually were in a village in the beginning before this refugee center, so they're not allowed. They said like, no, not to everybody with the dirty hands. I mean, and the kitchen was really small enough, so you just can't. It's only somebody can stay there and.
Yeah, so say they did all 3 meals a day, the volunteers were cooking, or refugees were cooking together.
Just have turns, and then, yes, in this kitchen.
So moving to that building was actually a big deal, and then people had more freedom. But we really liked the communal thing of eating together, and it was real good for the relationships. But then there was the downside of it too, and, you know.
It was downside, but I mean, mostly really good actually, like, still communicating, like, still we can just, let you go pray together, like, okay, let's pray together and talk, so, and, yeah. And there was a rule, for example, not cooking after 9 o'clock. That was really fun, and Nancy was laughing. We would start putting chairs, so because Ukrainians would only come to the kitchen at 9 o'clock and start cooking and eating, of course, after 10, and then party till 9. So no, that was really
Ukrainians
fun.
are used to eating late at night.
Yeah. And especially if you're waiting for the visa and not working anywhere, that was.
So in Poland, where you were, most of those Ukrainian refugees from northern Ukraine then?
No, I would say the vast majority were from close to the Russian border. And the reason being is that's where most of the violence is. So if you're fleeing, like if you're from a western area, you're significantly safer, and your relationships are probably, like, if you have family there, you know, you kind of just go to the family, right? But if all your family is in this certain region, you know, Donetsk, Lugansk, were the horribly hit ones. So honestly, most people who came to our center spoke Russian more than Ukrainian.
So they were coming from the east side, they
Yeah.
had to cross all of Ukraine to get to them.
Possibly,
Yeah,
yeah.
how many people went to Romania instead of Poland?
Repeat that?
How
Romania.
many went to
Oh.
Romania? Many, though.
Yes,
But not
I
as
don't
many as
really
to
know.
Poland.
We would have to Google that. Yeah, but Poland is the largest amount of refugees that went to Poland. Although surprised me, a lot of refugees went to Russia. You know, if you were pro-Russia and on that side, that's where you went. And for some people, it's safer to travel to Russia, or you have. So there's a lot of, because the Soviet Union and all that, there's a lot of marriage families who, hey, we live in Ukraine, we live in Russia, and we're Russian or Ukrainian or a combination. So for some people, they made the choice to go to Russia. So, but that surprised me because I see Russia as, you know, the enemy. What would you go there for? Yeah.
Marcus, how's the election, I think, finished today in Poland? Is that going to affect anything for you guys, for the new?
I didn't know too much about it.
Okay.
I know for the European Union it was a big deal that there's you know, a lot of Polish people don't want to be part of
EU?
the part of the EU. And so
Slovakia recently had election and the Communist Party won, so they are not going to support Ukraine anymore.
yeah.
There is that.
Yeah, so it's hard to. It would be a bad idea, I would think, to leave the European Union at this time, because the idea is if the Russians bomb your country and you're part of the EU, that the whole EU is supposed to come to your defense. So like right now would be like of all the times to leave, it's probably not the best time. Right, and Russia has made, you know, kind of your next kind of threats to Poland as well. So,
Right.
you know, that, yeah, I couldn't see them leaving anyway. But it was something that the European, like that Brussels was real. Brussels is where the center of the EU government is, and they were real concerned about that. But I couldn't see it happening. I don't. And for regarding politics, you guys, just I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? If you have questions about foreign policy and all that, I would just as soon like avoid that topic, just because the politics can be, you know, ugly and it's not my forte. But But yeah, so if you have questions about Biden and Trump and that, let's just make that off bounds, okay? I appreciate that.
Well, tell us more about the ability and freedom you had to evangelize while you were in Poland.
Mhm. Yeah, so this is the evangelist here. As far as the reason that our center was established was so that we'd have a place that we could freely share the gospel. A lot of times we work with governments or work with nonprofits or whatever. They're like, hey, keep Jesus on the down low, right? But this is a place where we were allowed to share Christ as much as we wanted. And we never forced anybody to go to our Bible. We had Bible study every day, but nobody had to go. We had kids program. I did Lego club every Thursday. I did English clubs. In the beginning, I did them 3 times a week. Just looking for things to do for the kids. And because a lot of them were going to England. And then we did Sunday school for the children. And then we had just a lot of different special activities that we did.
As far as did I preach on the trains? No. Because I don't have the language, and the train totally set up in a fancy way that in a so fancy way that like, wow, it will be so seriously hard. But people, surprisingly, for me, I was totally shocked how little people spoke English. It just feels like in Europe, they're like super satisfied with their own language, and like, why do we need another one? It just feels like it. So because we had to run to banks, to the phone cards, we're everywhere. Like it's easy. Like, hey, do you speak English? No. Okay, let's try my Ukrainian on you. And it just would be really hard. I mean, we didn't try once, twice. It's like trying to find an apartment and like calling many places. People didn't speak English, so you're welcome. If you think that they are more educated than Ukraine, no, happen to be Ukrainians. Did I pass tracts there? Yeah, when I found where the tracts in Poland, Polish. Had Ukrainian, had Polish, didn't have Russian now. But yeah, I did in Krakow, somewhere else I did, but not as fancy. But we did the Polish church, and actually people, they helped us for the Christmas collect 200 Ukrainian families, so 200 kids. 200 kids, yeah, for the Christmas program. So, and we did 2 performances with them, like they split in groups. So I don't know, it's around 200 kids came.
Yeah, so for Christmas, we had an outreach to all the refugee communities that we, the Polish pastor that we worked with, he was good friends with the mayor. I don't know how it works, but was able to make contact with all of the area refugee centers. And I dressed as Santa Claus. We did the actual Christmas story with Mary and Joseph, and made gifts for all the refugee kids who were in our communities. And so that was a really good outreach. It's fun. I know some Christians have different views about Santa Claus. Santa Claus for me is a tool that I can talk more about Jesus from Santa's perspective. So Santa Claus actually prayed the sinner's prayer with any children who wanted to receive Jesus, and then gave gifts at the end. So.
Hey, Santa.
What?
Way to go, Santa.
Go Santa. Yes.
Less and less I need to do it.
Yeah. I have this foam belly, and it's like, ooh, this is getting tight for both of us in here. But the thing is this, that how do you say? People need food and they need clothing and shelter, but they need hope. And hope, government can give you help, but they can't give you hope. But Jesus is the source of hope. And and it's so important, and I come back to it all the time, is that, hey, you can go through darkness if Jesus is holding your hand. I mean, pity the man who goes through darkness and doesn't know where to go and doesn't think anyone cares about him. And, maybe there's a God, maybe there isn't. Man, I can't imagine that. You know what I mean? To walk with that. But for me, to say, does God exist? It's like asking, it's like telling, who's the guy? Man, his name just escaped me, the astronaut on the moon. Neil Armstrong. You can't tell Neil Armstrong that the moon landing was faked.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was there. And so it's to be able to talk to somebody and say, no, this hope is real. This is inside of, you know what I mean? God's been with me. I ran from Ukraine too, and his presence was with us the whole time. People need to know that hope. And because there's things you can't, money can't buy and science can't prove. But the things that science can't prove are the most important things in our lives. Love and friendship and faith and family. How do you measure those in science, right? But those are the important things in life, right? Sorry. But it's such a, to be able to offer a person beyond, here's your meal, here's a place to sleep, to offer them hope is just a joy. It's just to be able to do that.
So are you in control of when you go back to Ukraine, or is that somebody else?
That's a really good question. Going back to Ukraine? Okay. So it's not completely in my control. With our organization, they won't let us return if Ukraine is in a state of war. Okay. And as it is, Ukraine is in a complete state of war.
Sure.
In 2014, when Russia seized control of Crimea, it was
Ukraine wasn't in a state.
was not in a state of war. There was conflict in those areas, but they haven't declared that state of war, right? And there's a lot of things with our organization, with insurance and anyway, there's a lot just
So they have control for that.
yeah. So, but all that said, we know older missionaries whose kids are grown who can do some paperwork and say, we agree that we know it's dangerous, but we're willing to take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
They will let the older missionaries go out there.
Mm-hmm.
But as we have an almost 8-year-old,
So do you have a place to go back or not?
Yes.
we own our own place in Kiev.
So
We have
that's
our own
just
apartment.
something that,
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But it's safe. We live in an apartment complex, and there's kind of we own the apartment, but so there's like a homeowners association type of thing in Facebook groups. So we're constantly aware of what's happening there. So yeah, it's not like,
Still alive.
yeah, everything is still safe there.
So where will you go back when you leave the States?
If Ukraine is not open for us, we'll go to Warsaw, Poland.
And what will you do there?
Mhm.
How will it be different than what you have been doing?
Okay, so one of the situations we had in Katowice was that we lived at the refugee center. There's a housing shortage, and it was just a challenge. And so we ended up living at the refugee center, which was awesome, but not awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine y'all living here together at the church, and pastor was he's trying to pastor you all the time. How tiring would that be to be a pastor?
Actually perfect. But if you have little kids, it's getting, because these kids complain on that kids and these kids. And it's so different with the older people who accept the food if you if you don't have any money. Imagine if you don't have any money.
Right.
Plus.
There's a lot of stuff there, right? There's a lot of moving parts.
But the kids were big thing.
I'm a social introvert, and so the difference between an introvert and extrovert is an introvert is energized by being alone, right? And people tire him out. I like people. I like being around people, but it costs me something to be with them. An extrovert is energized by being with people.
No, plus to everything, all these people probably know how to use restrooms, and they probably know how to use dryers. Like we learned that people from we're fancy, I'm from fancy, sorry, you were fancy from America. I'm from Kiev, I know how to use a toilet, I can sit down actually. People from villages came, they stand up on it, and they come to the bathroom, and the footprint is, and your toilet seat off the toilet. Then what? You go in like, who did it? Then it's different. And you're passing by, and there is lady put all her clothes in a dryer, and open the thing. There is no place for detergent, so she showered, and so she takes detergent and pushes the
So
button.
just to translate what my wife said, just in case you didn't know that. Not everybody, if you go in the deep villages of Ukraine, they don't have sit-down toilets, and they don't have washing machines or dryers. And a lot of people in the city don't have dryers, they just put them on drying racks. And so what we had with people who came from the village went in the bathroom, and I guess this is where we go to the bathroom, stand on the toilet seats and like
Not
they
even lift it up.
Yeah.
Stand up right on the plastic.
stand on the plastic toilet seat, and we had footprints imprinted in our toilet seats and they're always broken because you know that's not meant to support all that weight.
No.
And so that was just
Plus, they're arguing, should we flush the toilet paper? Oh no.
Yeah. So some people didn't flush the toilet paper because in some of the villages, you flush the toilet paper, you'll clog the pipes. What kind of funny is that? I don't know.
Yes.
But it's real. It's a real thing. And so they were throwing toilet paper in garbage cans instead of in the toilet. And the Polish administrator was like, "What do you mean they're putting the toilet paper in the?" Sorry, guess what? And so there were those kind of things.
The dryer. So using the dryer as a
they said, "Oh, there's a washing machine," and so they thought the dryer was a washing machine and put the detergent in there and ran it.
So it means your clothes is well dusted.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
So Warsaw, what are you gonna do in
So
Warsaw?
right, that was the question we answered.
I just try to imagine live in the refugee center.
So the idea was at least we lived in the refugee center for the extended time there, and we never really got to go home and rest. You know what I mean? At the end of work, you go home and you can chill and say, "My day is done." That never happened in 9 months. And Sabbath day, you just really have to flee. You know what I mean? To have that Sabbath day. So I say out to say, we knew we were doing that when we did it. We said this is something that we couldn't. It's not sustainable lifestyle for our family. Plus, Olivia's doing school, and none of the kids in the refugee center are doing school. They're like, "Olivia, come on, play." It's like, "I want to play. I don't want to do reading." Whatever. And so you had all that. Where if we had our own place, do our school, then come to the refugee center to do ministry. So with that in mind. This time, even if we were going back to Katowice, we would definitely find our own apartment, and so we would have that, just for our family's health and spiritual vitality. But then so I've been talking to, I've been talking to. Yes, would you get me some more water? Yeah, I drank it all. Good.
Be serious.
I thought, you're good. So I've been talking to a friend of mine who lives in Warsaw and works as part of the Ukrainian church that's there. And since all the refugees have come, and many of them have come to Warsaw, their church is just exploding at the seams, and they've planted more churches to accommodate, this growth. And so my hope, I touched on this a little bit before, but you can lead someone to Christ, but then what? right? You want to get them in a position where they can grow as a believer. And so getting them involved in a local church is the best tools that we have for that, right? Yeah, sure. So the last weekend, the weekend before we left, our Jane Dollar she was the country coordinator for our organization in Ukraine. Now she lives in Poland as well. And she said, hey, Marcus and Helen, I know how you guys love to work with orphans. I found a refugee center that's just orphans. And about 25 kids. Would you like to do some ministry there? I'm like, absolutely, I do. Absolutely. Anyway, I wish we would have found out about them so we had more time with them. But this group was from an orphanage in Zaporizhia, and there was a cleaning lady at this orphanage, and she came to realize that after all the evacuations and attacks and whatever, she was the only staff member left at this orphanage. Everyone had fled with their families. And so she had 25 kids and somehow managed to secure transportation and help get these kids and it's a long way. That's on the east side of Ukraine. Took all these kids and brought them to Poland. And I never met her. I just heard the story. Met the kids, met all the kids. But kids were just so glad to see us. And I think I talked about, I brought Stuart the turtle, and we talked about how God protects us. And Stuart has a shell, and he hides in the shell, and all this stuff. And they listened to every single word I said. They were just, totally with us. And but the people who worked at the center, they said, yeah, a lot of people come and make donations, but nobody comes and spends time with the kids here. And so again, that speaks to the need that exists probably all over refugee centers everywhere. So, but that woman is a hero. You need to think about just taking that on. It's just something else.
Were they orphaned, some of them from the war, or were they the orphanage in existence?
No,
before?
it was in existence before the war already, yeah.
So all the adults just left the kids there?
That's what I'm told.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I didn't talk to the lady. This is a story I heard, so. That was it. Yeah.
So, how have you changed in the last year based on your experiences?
Well, that's a good question. All this stuff I talked about being a new wineskin, I was talking about, being flexible and just, it's really challenging. We were at a missions conference, and the guy we were a whole bunch of Ukrainian missionaries right after the war happened, and we all had to flee our God-called location, right? And they changed the whole conference for us to just really focus on ministering on Ukrainian refugees. We're not refugees, Ukrainian missionaries. And one of the things he talked about was how Paul was shipwrecked on Malta. And God said he was going to Rome, but he was shipwrecked on Malta. And it wasn't part of the plan. It wasn't part of and so what did Paul do? He ministered in Malta, right? And he did what there was to do, and people came to Christ on Malta. And so we don't really know. It's a challenging thing for me, because like I said, I just really want to go back to Ukraine, and I just really it's my heart, it's my heartbeat, and it's just and so just being able to say, God, I don't like this, but I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? This is not my part of my plan, and but I'm just gonna, you know, bloom where I'm planted.
Right.
And yeah, and so that's you know, that's our struggle, and yet in the struggle you grow in that, right? You learn to and the challenge is, you know, I could take root, right? I could say, okay, this is what we're doing, but I don't know how long that's going to be. So you just have to say, you're the good shepherd, and I'll be here as long as I need to be, but can you just give me some, you know? If all the world's a stage, I need better lighting. You know what I'm saying? I just, you know, and yeah, so that's that's one of those things like because we were told when we before we left Poland, and I said, what? I asked my leadership, I said, so do I plan for going to Poland or do I plan for going to Ukraine? She says, oh, plan for Ukraine because, you know, Russia's been bringing out their tanks from the 70s, you know? Like they've been bringing out weapons that have been in cold storage for literally decades and decades, you know, so they're running out of stuff. So we believe that this thing is coming to a close. But since then, you know, Russia's made deals with Iran and China and now North Korea, you know. So then what? You know, we don't know. And so we're gonna plan on going to Poland. And yeah.
That was really fun that we were serving in Polish church. Marcus volunteered to be a kids pastor there.
Yeah.
And we were serving two Belarusian kids.
Right.
It was
Yeah. So there's so that the Polish church had kind of helped establish this center. You know, we've been attending that church, and I went the first. So we showed up the first week, and I said, "Hey, you guys have kids ministry?" Oh yeah, it's over there. And so the first week I was looking for the kids ministry. The next week I was teaching kids ministry. Because it's just, you know, it's what I do. Tiggers. Yeah. And so we actually helped to do some training there at the Polish church, but they're interesting. So here's the deal: Ukrainian and Polish are really similar. More similar than Ukrainian and Russian, which kind of surprised me. I thought that Russian and Ukrainian were just like this. I'm but Russian's like fourth down the list as far as. Anyway, so how to say it? I go to the Polish church, and I'm like, and Helen's like understanding the entire sermon, and I'm like, I'm just going to read my Bible because I'm getting nothing out of this. You know what I mean? So I volunteer in kids ministry as much as I can because the strange dynamic about the church is there's a lot of Belarusians who are there now. Belarus is a nation just north of Ukraine. They've been in the news quite a bit because they have their own despo leader over there, and so a lot of Belarusians end up going to this church. And I was asking one of the ladies there, says, "How come you have so many Belarusians there?" She was Belarusian, and she said, "Well, it's my fault. I was a YWAMer, and when we were done with our YWAM commitment, I came here, and we liked it, and so I keep inviting my friends when they move here." So most all the kids in the church speak Russian because they're from Belarus, and so it was a lot easier for me to do ministry there than to sit in the church.
So is it the same as in a lot of rest of Europe, that the younger kids tend to speak English and the older people don't?
I think that's yeah.
Because they're
For the most part, that's the rule.
Second language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also just young people are more confident. Even you know how it is. You know, like Olivia goes and plays with the kids at the refugee center. Her level of Russian Ukrainian have just skyrocketed in the time that we live there because she's with them all the time, and she's fearless. You know, so she's like, she doesn't know the word. She talks around the word until, you know, that she learns the word, and then, or she asks me, what's the Ukrainian word for this? And so, but for me, if I'm less confident, if I don't know the words, or I say something and they respond and I don't understand what the response was, you know what I mean? Then you're just kind of, oh, I tried. Right? So that's how younger people have that confidence and, not gonna try it, right? And where older people are like, well, it's been 20 years since I took English in school and that's probably not gonna do it.
Kind
Right?
of like you and your grandfather.
A lot.
Okay!
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marcus, I understand that you have no idea what you'll need when you get there, but will you remember us? And that if you had a need, you could come to us and we would do our best?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
And if you had a need before you even went there,
Yes.
we would love to know about it.
I won't give you a car to use, how's that?
What's that?
I won't give you a car to use.
Car? Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
My car burned up, sitting in the parking lot waiting for them to take it back. It'll make it without AC now, but it was kind of an amusing day.
Yeah. So we were gonna borrow Pastor Al's, what kind of car would you call it? Your beater car?
There's no cars.
It's an old
The green one that I
Uh-huh.
bought.
Yeah, and so she was leaving for California, and we were coming at to landing at SeaTac at the same time, and so the idea was she's gonna bring the car, we're gonna take it, and then it went up in smoke when she got into the garage. And so, but you can see God's sovereign hand in it, right? Because if she was 10 minutes from the airport and it would have broke down, that would have been a big problem for her getting to her flight. And if it would have come 10, 15 minutes after we left, there's another just mess we have to deal with. So, all in all,
We did good.
yeah, we did right. So,
I made my flight, you made it. So
yeah, we got where we need to go, so it's all good.
No one's talking about the 6 hours it took me to retrieve the car.
Triviality.
Yeah. Marcus and I were safe.
Yeah.
So when you're in, where are you going to again?
Warsaw.
Warsaw. What exactly will you do there?
Mhm.
Did I miss that?
Sort of, I don't entirely know what we're going to be. The plan is to work with several refugee centers, but he also threw this at me. It used to be a recreation center that has 500 orphans who live there.
There's your ministry.
Yeah, yeah, 500, and they're all from the Odessa region. So,
Oh my gosh, really?
yeah. So, but 500 is a lot.
You can do
You
it.
know, I know, you minister different to a group of 6 kids and a group of 12 kids.
Yeah.
I haven't ministered to 200 kids at once, not to mention 500.
Remember at Dixon, you in front of 600 kids, what?
Yeah.
But it's camp.
No, I get that, and we've done camps and stuff, and not 500 kids at that camp.
600.
There were 600?
You were alone? Yeah.
Yeah, but not us. There was a.
So, obviously, if I did that, I wouldn't do it alone. But I don't know what it looks like. Right. So those
When do you go
are
back?
opportunities. What?
When do you go back?
We go back,
Or how long are you in the States?
we're hoping to go back in March. Yeah. So we've actually got speaking engagements in February, so I've already made those commitments. So
Okay.
even if we had all the support we needed, I would still wait till March to do it.
So it is quite a while.
Yeah, it is one.
Where are
A
you
lot
guys?
could change in Ukraine in
A lot
between now
can
and
change. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we pray that it does.
Yep.
Yeah. But we prepare for if it doesn't.
That's right. Plan A, Plan B.
Yeah.
Where should we send your Christmas present?
Uh-huh.
Where should we send it? Where are you going to be at Christmas?
Christmas.
Oh, I'm sorry, Christmas. Yeah, Christmas will be in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Michigan is my home state. And I'm not scheduling anything for December because churches have stuff through December all the time. So it's just better to, gives the break to you.
Do you have to meet a goal before you can go, as far as?
Yeah, we have to get our stuff, like our finances.
Yeah.
They have like a monthly support, you have to have this amount, and you have to have a cash on hand this amount, because you need to buy airplane tickets and all that stuff. And so we've got the cash stuff covered, it's the monthly support we're still working on.
And what's your umbrella organization?
Assemblies of God World Missions.
And, well, they won't say it, but we do give to them through our regular mission giving, through the mission. There are also individuals in this congregation, and I know a number of them are sitting in this room, who have chosen to give over and above what they give to the church to contribute to their ministry. And the Assemblies of God actually makes it very easy to do that. We just need to sort of tap your, account once a month if you want to do it that way. And they have, I'm sure they have information that you can grab.
In fact, Helen, can you grab the magnets?
We have magnets.
That's my helpmate right there. See, come on up. You're the next person on the I bring up the magnets because there is a website on here that is our kind of our missions website, and so you could do all your giving from that page if you wanted to, or you could work through church. A lot of people make monthly commitments and then give through the church, give to the church, and it goes all through them anyway. But that's a possibility.
We take a cut though.
Yeah.
I'll keep lights on.
You'd be surprised, Pastor.
There are mission organizations, and when we were at PCUSA, when we contributed to PCUSA, they took 12% of what we donated for their own internal purposes.
Wow.
Well, the other is we left the PCUSA.
Shame on them.
It's not uncommon for mission organizations to do that, but the standard is usually 5%.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to cover their overhead.
There are expenses for missions organizations, and
So
so
if you go to what's on the card, it goes straight to you guys.
it'll go through the organization,
Okay?
but you will get tax exempt stuff and all that way. Yeah. If you gave it straight to me, then you wouldn't get the tax stuff. So it's better for you to do it that way. And they're going to ask me what I'm getting anyway, and I'm not going to lie. So.
Well, I just want to say, it means a lot for us, for you guys to come here.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long way. It's, we talk about, I know you feel like, oh, it's great that we support you and Helen and Olivia. I always feel like we get more back in the relationship. And it's very valuable for us and for our congregation to be involved in mission and to be involved in relationship. And you've allowed us to be a partner with you in doing that. I know that it's probably awkward to feel like, here I am just sort of telling you what I'm doing, and I don't even know what I'm doing yet. We have learned that you will listen to God, and God will use you and Helen and Olivia in what you're doing. And every time I talk to people in this congregation, they absolutely say, we're going to keep supporting them, right? And the answer is, of course we are. Of course we are. And when you get to the next place you're going, if you have needs, you have to let us know. If you need people to come help you with something, float the idea.
Okay.
And because you're in this, and we're in this with you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So, what I would like to do is one thing we have not done yet this weekend. I'd like to pray for them. So this is what I'm going to suggest. Helen, would you come back up front? You don't have to talk. Although, she's so shy, when you get her on her own, she's a
You're embarrassing her, stop it.
And I just invite the rest of you to come up and lay hands on them. And we'll pray for them. Let me lead us in prayer. Father, we have been so blessed.